today we're reviewing Shang-Chi. We've all seen it.
Shang-Chi. I learned it's
Or Shang-Chi or Shang, or is it
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Yep.
Okay, or Sean.
Yeah, he calls himself Sean.
Yeah. So yeah, we've both seen it. My mom's already done a review for it, but I haven't. Today with me we have Matt Air, who's also seen it. And yeah, we could just go through the plot. Basically, it begins actually with his mom. She's telling the story to her son about his dad, who is actually a vampire, I would say.
He's not really a vampire.
So what is it that has kept him alive? Was it
I
the
think
rings?
It's the rings.
The rings. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gotten involved in a lot of historical stuff throughout our time. And he probably more powerful than the Black Widow organization, to be honest with you. All the stuff he's done. But yeah, we jump forward to when he meets his future wife in 1996, and they have the 2 kids. And then something ends up happening, but we jump to the present day and we see Sean. Okay, Sean. Not Shang. Shang-Chi. I want to say Shang-Chi.
It's Shang. I was saying it wrong for a long time, but it's Shang.
But yeah, so we see him he's like that type of person that parks cars for people at like these big hotels or...
He's a valet.
Yeah. But then one specific other day, he gets this postcard supposedly from his sister. And then the second day, he basically gets attacked, and he kind of reveals to his best friend that he's not all that he is.
Yeah, not all that she thought him to be. That's
and that's kind of where the plot starts, and then it just grows into this, and also has references to other Marvel movies that have happened in the past. Would you say the characters had a good time to grow in this film? I mean, we get enough flashbacks of the characters' growths, and then in present day they're able to do this, like the main character Shang-Chi. I mean, Matt, what would you say for the character development?
I liked it. I know in the comics he doesn't have any powers, so that he's like the world's greatest fighter. And I think he was more based off Bruce Lee than anything else. Because the character was originally, I think it was the 70s when the character originally came out.
Oh,
in the comics?
Interesting.
Yeah, in the comics.
Okay,
he's
so
not
he
really
was
supposed to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to do a what I've heard is with the comics origin is they wanted to do a comic for the TV show Kung Fu with David Carradine, and Marvel couldn't get the rights to it, so they did their own. So they made their own.
They came up with their own. Okay.
Yep.
Apparently, Matt was telling me he may have been based off of
It was Bruce Lee and the martial arts craze of the 70s.
Of the 70s, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. That makes complete sense. I felt like the character growth was, I mean, obviously we had more character growth with certain characters than we did with others, but I felt like that each character had, we weren't around his sister as much.
Not as much, but that she was able to build up her own sort of thing.
Yeah, you learn. I felt like each character had decent breathing room as far as what we learned about them. None of the characters really felt rushed to me as far as the main characters, his dad, him, Aquafina, she's just like the sidekick, but I still felt like we got to know her pretty well. And then also his sister.
I feel like
that's one thing I liked about it.
I feel like the characters were pretty well balanced. And even if his sister didn't have as much time to reflect on her as Shang-Chi, I still think you got to know her enough. And
yeah, I felt so too. Yeah, I felt that same way. Mm-hmm.
I will agree, though. His friend, would you say, kind of was the star of the show, sort of, or was she well balanced?
She was a scene stealer. I mean, I feel like okay. So I kind of I touched on this in my review. The guy who played Shang-Chi, his name is Simu Liu. I think that's how you pronounce. No, I don't know. I might be wrong. I felt like he wasn't a very captivating, magnetic personality to me. I felt like the other characters, Aquafina, she was more fun and interesting. And his father, especially, in my opinion, he was the best character in the whole movie. His father, I feel like, stole the show in a lot of ways. Now, Aquafina too, but more like on the comic relief type side. But his father, as far as character-wise,
yeah, like a pretty well balanced villain.
Oh my goodness, I think he's one of the better ones, to be honest.
Better than Thanos?
He's on up. Well, I mean, Thanos was okay, but I actually identify more with the villain in Shang-Chi than Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah.
Thanos.
Like, I was trying to figure out Thanos' sort of like the whole big goal that he wanted, but for some reason I didn't really fully connect with him. Like,
I didn't either, because he was a madman.
Yeah,
like he was just
Shang-Chi's dad had more.
He had more heart. He had more personality. He was sympathetic. He was a sympathetic person. He wasn't doing what he was doing.
He quit what he was doing to fall in love
because he loved his wife.
When stuff happened, he kind of went back to how he was doing things.
Because he was grieving. I mean, the thing about what motivated his character that I really appreciated was he wasn't doing what he was doing because he wanted to control the world. He wasn't doing what he was doing because he was just this black and white bad guy. You know, he did what he was doing because he was suffering. He was sad. He was grief stricken, and he loved his wife dearly. And it crushed him when she was killed.
I think he was also.
And so those are human emotions. He was what?
He was also kind of bored too, just the fact that he lived for so long doing what he was doing, you know.
But it was. Oh, you mean why he stopped doing what he was doing?
Well, no, like when he stopped doing his thing when he met his wife, I felt like he was trying to look for something of value, I guess.
Something better, than what he had. Yeah, he'd already done everything he could do. I really identified with him a lot, and he wasn't the type of villain that I wanted to see completely destroyed. I just wanted him to, kind of step back from what he was doing. Yeah, I wanted him to wake up. I didn't want him to, anything bad to happen to him. And so you've got a pretty interesting character when it's not somebody that you just hate to pieces. Or, well, no, sometimes it's good to hate a character a lot if they're well written and well acted and you just despise them because they're so awful. But he just had a very human element to him that made me connect with him on that level, and I really appreciated that.
I would agree. Mm-hmm. And his son, you could just say he's like the typical hero, but he also maybe the one thing I would say is his tragic past, that he was doing things very young for his age. Doing assassination, so that would mess with you,
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I was kind of relating to the fact that, like, gosh, he was 14 when he did his first hit. Like, can you imagine? Mm-hmm. You could kind of sympathize with him on that, but as a whole, he was just kind of that, typical hero, just gonna do the right thing. But you could say maybe his relationship with his dads were the best part, like.
That was the driving force behind a lot of what was going on.
And his sister, you could say she kind of went towards a little bit of a darker area in society.
Side,
like just a little bit like in the like another underworld group where she just like handled like illegal fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, cage fighting. Illegal cage fighting.
Yep.
So she went in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she went in a different direction from what Sean at the time wanted to, like, just live a normal life. So yeah, I mean, the characters, they're well balanced. I think most people, we would both probably all agree that the villain would probably be more of the highlight in this film.
I was trying to, when you were trying to explain this, I was trying to look up his family tree from the comics, because I think he had other siblings in the comics. Which they cut out. And the father, I think in the original comics, not in the newer ones, was Fu Manchu at one point.
What?
It was the original, like, Kung Fu one, but they took it out for the older ones.
Okay, I mean, I've heard the name Fu Manchu.
Yeah, but I was trying to call that out, but I couldn't really find anything on it. So I guess they kept on changing the continuities. Just to see what they kept and they didn't keep with the movie.
Was the character of his friend in the comics, or is she completely made up for the movie?
I would have to check.
Yeah, I would say his friend, pretty funny. Yeah. Pretty funny.
I mean, I knew she would be funny. Some people felt like she stole the show. Some people she kind of annoyed. Some people was like, what's the point of her? I got the point of her in the body of the movie, but at the end, when that post-credit scene happens, I don't get the point of the continued tag-along at that particular moment, because unless something is revealed to us that we don't know about yet, why is she continuing to come along? Do you know, Matt?
I have a theory on it.
Okay, what's your
They both lost their jobs for going on that trip. So she had nowhere to go, and she didn't want to stay at home being nagged by her mother.
Well,
so she just left.
So I don't get the point of that. That confused me a little bit, because I'm like, well, why are you doing that other than just to have her there? But you got to have a good excuse to have her there. Is she going to serve some really important purpose, or are you just wanting her there just for continued comic relief? So, and I don't. That's one of the beefs I have with it. Is that as much as I enjoyed her presence, why is it continuing to happen? Why is she such a big deal that the Doctor Strange dude had to specifically bring her along and indicate that she's got all this stuff she's got to...
maybe they want to recruit her.
I'm hoping there's a specific reason. I don't want it to just be, we need to keep her because she's funny. No, you got to have a reason for her to be, like, throughout the movie, I got it. She's his good friend. She's going to come with him on these adventures. But at the end, I don't get it. So I guess we'll find out.
I would say her character was pretty well balanced with, like, humor, and then with the serious moments,
Yeah,
you didn't feel like moments, like that she was just thrown in there just because. I thought that was
their friendship was established pretty well. You saw some of the home life, her with her family and talking with her grandmother and her mom and everything, her brother, so you got a little bit of that. So you got what her home life was like.
Yeah. Would you say the film quality, I'm going to get to this in a sec, but would you say the film quality was pretty good overall?
You mean the technical stuff?
Yeah.
I personally felt like it was your typical Marvel. The big CGI fight scene at the end, I was not crazy about. The dragons fighting and all that. I that didn't really impress me a huge amount. I was expecting to see more human on human fighting, and then it became more like we got to fight these big demons. The fight choreography was pretty well done, but as I mentioned in my own review, there were moments where, as is typical in martial arts style fighting scenes, when they do the kick to the head, they intentionally kick way higher than the head. It's obvious they're trying to miss. I noticed that happening at least once or twice in some of the fighting scenes, and those kind of always make me sort of roll my eyes a little bit. But other than that, I thought the fighting scenes were pretty good, and he was doing most, if not all, of those. One of my favorites that he did was in the bus.
The bus
when he jumps up and he punches them, and then he kicks them both. I thought that was funny. I like that. I like the way they did that.
Yeah, I actually did like the bus scene.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. Now, what I did like about Shang-Chi, in the Marvelverse, they're kind of starting to explore even other cultures around our planet, which, we had Black Panther that showed Africa's culture, and now Shang-Chi is showing the Asian culture, which, it kind of opens a little bit more of the world.
Like broadens the sort of horizon of the story, of the world, the universe.
And it just makes
we've already got alien cultures before we even got other human-based cultures.
Yeah. But it kind of just makes you think, what was all everything going on in specific parts of the world when other stuff were happening in the MCU. It's just, it kind of makes you think about that. So that's what's interesting about Shang-Chi.
Well, something that I pointed out in my review with regard to, like spreading out to other cultures or whatever, and something that I did notice and appreciate was that it didn't feel to me personally that there was any sort of woke / political messaging that was going on in this story.
I didn't really.
It felt like they were just telling this. No, I didn't at all, and because it is creeping in to the Marvel cinematic universe little by little in different films or shows, but there really wasn't any of that here. They just kind of told this story. Whether or not you like the story, that's one thing, but they're just telling you the story. I personally like the story. Mm-hmm. I thought it was okay. Yeah. But
actually, I do have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I do have a question with the bus scene, though. That took place in San
Francisco, I think.
Right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that where Ant-Man's supposed to be based?
Was it?
Wasn't Ant-Man there? So why well, if he's there, why did Scott Lang not show up to stop the bus?
Maybe he was otherwise occupied elsewhere.
Why didn't he send Ants? Ants could stop.
Maybe he didn't know what was going on. Maybe he was somewhere else.
This wasn't reported on the news.
I'm looking up the thing about where Ant-Man is.
I'm being smart because if people didn't show up for the snap, why aren't we having heroes show up? Also, where was that detective that was hunting down Scott Lang?
The bus chase was happening. People aren't just going to show up. The bus chase, the amount of time that the bus chase took was really only a few minutes.
Yeah, I know. I'm being smart.
But I am trying to look up where he. Oh, just being sarcastic. Where is he? I thought he was in San Francisco as well.
Yeah,
but that has nothing to do anyway with what we were talking about. So. Okay.
Wait, also, isn't that where Venom's based as well? Didn't he go over to the other coast after he was kicked out?
Where did the first Venom take?
It was on the West Coast because they mentioned that they got kicked out of the Daily Bugle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So where was Venom?
Is it Washington? Seattle?
It may be, but I'm being smart. I'm being smart again.
You're getting us all distracted.
Yeah.
I had fun watching Shang-Chi.
Did you rate it as high as the audiences would rate it? Like 98%?
No, I would say it's decent. You'll have fun watching it. Like you, I don't think it's not gonna blow you away. It just feels like another typical Marvel movie, except in a different part of the world. I like the story. It was enjoyable for what it is. I just don't think I would give it 100% on Rotten Tomatoes because
I wouldn't even give it into the 90s, even though it was fun. I think the high ratings are a bit inflated. It depends. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is quite inflated. On IMDb and on Metacritic, it's actually, to me, those two locations, I feel like the scores are more representative of how probably most people feel about the film. In other words, they like it, but it's not like the mega best ever. So
I was gonna say
thought,
I did like the cameos. You had a specific character from Iron Man 3 show up again.
Which that was no surprise if you followed the story of the Mandarin, and what happened, and also if you watch that little tiny mini movie that they made, All Hail the King. That was no surprise. It's none at all. I expected him to be there. Some of the other cameos. When did Iron Man 3 come out? I don't remember.
No, not Iron Man 3. The short.
Oh, the short came out. Same time. It was not long after Iron Man 3. It was probably about 7-ish years ago, maybe.
Wow, so they predicted that.
And they do specifically mention the 10 rings. But one of the reasons I heard that they did that little tiny short is because people were really annoyed some people were unhappy with how the Mandarin was done in Iron Man 3. I personally was not, because though I knew of the Mandarin, it didn't upset me that it ended up, being this actor, and then you have this white guy claiming to be the Mandarin. He was just like Guy Ritchie's character, the dude from LA Confidential, Arturelia. That's the guy who played in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he took the mantle, but he really wasn't the real Mandarin. So when they came for Ben Kingsley's character in jail, and they referenced the 10 rings, and also, that, basically the Mandarin, he's not happy with what you did. That the Mandarin wasn't even a title that the actual Mandarin took. He didn't take that title. I think that was something that the terrorist dude cooked up with the actor.
What would you say about Shang-Chi? Like, how you personally like? I mean, I know you have your review out, but I guess for my channel,
I enjoyed it. I will add it to my collection. There's only one MCU movie that I don't ever plan to add to my collection in any form.
I think I know what
and that's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, I already have that.
I'm sure you do. You have all the films.
I kind of pretend that Captain Marvel didn't happen. She just appeared in
like she just showed up in Endgame, and all of a sudden, no, I try to, but I knew she was going to show up.
And then the aliens were just recruited by Samuel Jackson's character, but
no,
Captain Marvel didn't
happen. I could completely do without her character.
Do you want to do a review? Do you want to do a review for it?
Of Captain Marvel? No.
Yeah.
That's like, of course you would. No, I don't want to rewatch the movie in order to do a review. Nope.
So now, like, how did you feel about it? Like,
I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. I liked all the segments in it. I loved the cameos.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
How did you feel about Ben Kingsley's cameo?
Oh, it was worth it.
Some people thought it was over. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny.
Especially how he explains everything he does is acting.
Yeah.
how he thought the apes were really apes that were just pretending to ride on horses.
Yes.
You know my thought.
So stupid. What would you rate?
Oh no, sorry. No. Matt can go.
I was just going to ask him, how would he rank Shang-Chi, and like, what's your favorite MCU film?
Oh, that is hard.
Really?
Shang-Chi is probably in the middle, because it has the one issue some of the Marvel movies are getting, where they're all origin films. We have all of those, so you have to wait until the second movie to kind of see where they're going.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do that. Spider-Man didn't. They found a way around that with that character.
Right, because they just threw him right into Civil War.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther too.
Yeah. With them, but with it, it's more of an origin movie. But I liked it. I liked everything in it. Yeah.
It was certainly fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
I would say it's pretty well balanced with some the plot and all that with the characters. We kind of rarely get that sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes, but I felt like it was handled good in this film.
Mm-hmm.
You know what is probably one of the best Asian westerns of all time? It's gotta be The Good, the Bad, the Weird. That is probably the best, like the best western of all time. I would definitely check it out. It's just as good as Good, the Bad, the Ugly. One of my favorite films of all time, which I will talk about that film non-stop. And The Good, the Bad, the Weird is my second.
But it's set in the 1930s. It's not even set in the Western period.
So what if it's set in the 1930s? It's still a Western!